plenty of textbooks, microeconomics books I've used in the past, using the present, some I've never used. This is the one from when I was in college back many years ago. Samuelson, very famous. Got lots of other books that relate to economics. How about The Road to Serfdom by Friedrich Hayek? He's from the Austrian School of Economics. Friedrich Hayek actually went to Chicago, and he taught at the Chicago School of Economics along with Milton Friedman, who's also very famous. Free to Choose is probably his most famous book. I've actually been looking around here and I can't seem to find my edition of the Communist Manifesto, but not to worry, I've got one of those, I've got a Droid, and on my Kindle, I have a Kindle app, and I can actually go to, I downloaded it for free from Amazon, the Communist Manifesto. Along with, I downloaded this book, which I have as hardcover as well, The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. This book was first published in 1776. An inquiry into the nature and causes of the wealth of nations. There's a lot of thought about economics, and some of it, some people agree, some people don't agree on different philosophies. Hayek and Friedman, the Austrian or Chicago schools, believed in a free market capitalism. And capitalism actually is a word that came from Karl Marx, who believed very strongly in labor as the most important attribute in the equation rather than capital. And thus he demonized the capitalists and the so-called one percenters. So just to understand a little bit about the way society works, there are some people, back I think it was about 1680, when some French guys were asked by the French Minister of State, what can we do to help you? And that's when he said something to the effect of Laissez-Faire, which basically means leave us alone. That's what you can do to help us. That's what you, the state, can do to help us, the merchant class. Leave us alone. Let us be. We will come to our decisions on our own. And when I think about the free market, I think the world works best in a free market environment. Let me paint you a picture of an example. Stores everywhere serving all sorts of different types of things, particularly food vendors at an open-air market, perhaps in any town, in your town or even in Alaska. So let's envision what that would look like.
Okay, well, we're here trying to figure out what we're going to have for lunch in Anchorage, Alaska at the open-air market. We just had a little bit of the halibut, fried halibut in beer batter, but could just well be. I'm debating between the reindeer sausage, the reindeer hot dog, the bison sausage, bison bratwurst, I guess they call it. They got kosher food over here. Oh, they have the salmon burger that we're considering. That's naked is $8. With the fixes, it's $10 or $12. And then we've got around the corner is the the reindeer chili.
So regardless of what you want, salmon burgers or reindeer chili, you can get what you want, and the free market will decide what people want at what price. Reducing price might increase sales, or perhaps there's just not an interest at any price for certain products. And what it's often been called creative destruction. Some things come and some things go and all that. So our job is to figure out what role government should play in our economy.
I think we have to see the big picture always and hone in with an immense amount of focus and thoughtfulness as we make priorities and make them work here.
The question is, what do people want?
At the same time, we better be vigilant in our approach to bring fairness to how we share the burden of the price tag on government. There are things that we understand, I think, as a society that are valuable. Education, healthcare, research, science, technology. So how are we going to create the dollars for that? And it better be fairly produced.
And of course, we have politicians who are ready to answer these questions. And those politicians, well, let's have a listen.
There needs to be, again, this comprehensive plan that's
what we learn from politicians is that they can figure out where best to invest money in education. So what is the central role of a government? That's an issue that's really been debated right now over the last few years, from the Tea Party movement in 2009 to the Occupy Wall Street movement that spread to all sorts of different places across America and across the world, many little tent cities all across the world. And let me give you an example. Let's first start chronologically with the Tea Party rally in 2009. Let's listen to the kinds of things that they were saying.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it.
My question for you, did you know what the speaker was saying, what he was presenting? It's a very famous document. You should know it. If you don't, shame on your high school teachers. Now, that argument that they're making, essentially the right to pursue our own happiness, is essentially laissez-faire. And let's contrast that with the Occupy Wall Street movement. In this case, I went to Harvard University, and I thought I found the Occupy Harvard movement. I thought I'd ask them a few questions and get their take on what the world is like and what change they're looking to effect.
They sent, molds in to destroy you from the inside.
They don't destroy it. I don't think they have.
2.0 will be just our new way to engage coming into the new year. So.
Now, are you guys all Harvard students? Or?
Yeah, the two of us joined.
And what's the goal from here?
To expose visibility of the economic inequalities of the system, and what Harvard, the role Harvard plays in perpetuating that, and try to move both the people and the community to look at the way that they actually go about their lives and realize that there's more than just self-interest and profit. That part of running businesses and running economies has got to be towards the social good.
What's your major?
I'm English major.
Have you ever taken any course in economics here? I'm just curious what they're...
Not here specifically, but I know a bit about the economics courses here because I've talked to people here.
And what are they like here?
They're considered mainstream economics, basically, which is neoliberal. Mainstream economics, which in America is really defined as neoliberal economics.
Neoliberal, as in liberal economics used to be 100 years ago. Liberal economics was sort of free market capitalism. Is that what they mean by
exactly? This is a modified version.
No, neoliberal economics are basically laissez-faire economics.
Yeah.
It's using the term liberal as in we should have
free,
liberal and free open market.
But it's more complicated. I mean, the key figure is that it's Thomas Milton and his monetary.
Thomas Milton?
No, actually, if
mean Milton Friedman?
dodge
Yeah.
the draft, you
Yeah,
got
I'm familiar with
And
Milton.
this school basically
But if you-
follows the Chicago
if you got
model.
drafted
And we've actually fought against
skipped
that.
and went AWOL,
It's not actually that
you're
model
still
is
not allowed.
entirely invalid or wrong. Our issue is that it's
Yeah.
actually taught as
those
the
guys are still in
only
there.
model and the correct
They would have to.
So now, what we see here is everybody has a different opinion about what government is or should be, regardless of which economic system you think is best: capitalism, communism, socialism, laissez-faire. Ultimately, it comes down to this: every system ends up with rules, which create incentives, which lead to actions, which lead to outcomes. You can't deny rules, incentives, actions, outcomes. Think about it.